Hi there, today I'm unboxing a wireless CCTV system. So details in the description below for anyone thinking of purchasing. So let's take a quick look around the packaging. So it comes in a medium-sized package, it says professional video security on there and just a picture of someone monitoring CCTV cameras. Some details here, and it can be monitored via mobile like most of these CCTV systems these days. Just some more pictures, and again professional video security and general pictures here. So let's open it up and see what you get in the packaging. Okay, so I've laid out all the items you get in the packaging. Let me quickly go through them one by one. So initially, let me show the literature that you get with it. So wireless kit statement, so details there, and some instructions regarding installing it and connecting it up. Next, you've got a small card, certification, it's quality control pass, they're saying. Okay, next is extended warranty. So a card containing details for that. Some stickers, so warning stickers. Okay, more stickers as well. And then you've got a security system manual. And just to note, all the literature is in English on all this. Okay, next you've got some screws. So these are screws, looks like for attaching a hard disk, but the device already comes with a 1 terabyte hard disk pre-installed. Next you've got some power adapters. So you've got 4 for the actual cameras and 1 for the NVR. And just to show the details on there, it's a DC connectors on there and 12 volts, 1 amp. And in terms of length, you get 2.7 meters on there. Okay, then you've got an Ethernet cable, and the length of this is around 80 centimeters. Okay, and build quality of this seems reasonable. Okay, and then you've got power adapter for the NVR. They've labeled everything as well, just to note, so you know this is for a camera and this is for the actual NVR, which is there. And let me show the output on there. So 12 volts, 2 amps. And the length of this is 80 centimeters as well. Okay, next we've got an aerial. So this is a Wi-Fi aerial you'd attach to the actual NVR. But looking on the NVR, I can't see a connection point where you connect this. So a bit strange that they gave this, unless you can manage to actually pull one of the existing aerials that are at the back. So let's have a look at that in a moment. But build quality of this feels good. It's magnetic as well. So if I put it on there, it'll just stick on, and the length of the cable is 2.7 meters in length. Okay, next you've got a mouse, light as usual in feel for a CCTV system, which is normal, and build quality seems reasonable on there. Obviously these are quite cheaply made because you don't use them often once you've set them up. Okay, next you've got the actual camera itself. So let's bring one of them in closer, you can see. So the actual camera itself is that, and it's quite compact as you can see. So if I bring my ruler in, so just the camera itself, 7.5, and if I bring the ruler in here, I could say about 6.5. So diameter is 6.5 and 7.5 there. So quite small. And if you go end to end, if I pick the maximum point, which is there, to the bottom, it's about 18 centimeters. Okay, as usual, these items are adjustable, and you can just use an Allen key to help tighten them up a bit more. And if I look here, there's a cap over the actual aerial point there for Wi-Fi connectivity. And if I bring the aerial in, I should be able to just tighten it up. Okay, so there you go, that's tightened now. And that's how it would look. Quite a long aerial. So if I bring my ruler in on that, so you can see the height of that, that comes in at about a little bit over 17 centimeters. So a fair size to that. Thick cable here coming out the other end of the camera. Obviously in terms of fixtures, you've got a recess there and it can slip in there. And obviously you'd screw it in somewhere on a fascia board or a wall. You can have that coming out like so, and these cables going into a box, a waterproof box, and then you can connect the power, the DC adapter straight onto that. Okay, so the build quality of the camera is quite good, all metal throughout, rubber on the back, obviously when you install it, just to give a nice tight seal on there, and you've got Allen key adjusting points there. Looking at the packages they've provided, they've not provided an Allen key, which is quite a surprise because all the systems I've seen always provide an Allen key, so keep that in mind. The aerial is plastic and there's a small plastic cover over the actual lens. Let me see if I can take that off. And there you go, you can see the actual lens together with the actual infrared around there. So build quality seems good. So in terms of installation, what they recommend with a system like this is the NVR should be in a central location in your property to give ample coverage for the 4 cameras. So keep that in mind if you're purchasing something like this. And the other thing to note is if you're struggling with coverage on one of the cameras, you could run an Ethernet cable directly from the camera to your router to provide that connectivity onto your network. Okay, so next, let's take a look at the actual NVR. So quite a small unit, 2 aerials at the back, vents at the side here, no buttons or anything there. And again, vents on this side, some vents at the bottom. You can see some screw holes here. That's where the hard disk's been installed. There is no rubber underneath to stop it from moving on a desk. And if you come in here, that's just plastic. Looking at the back, you've got a VGA connection point, HDMI, WAN connector there, so you can put your Ethernet cable going into that. So that's why they've provided the cable there. Then you've got a USB connection point and a DC input for power. The 2 aerials are here. Like I mentioned, not sure where you'd connect that aerial unless it's for the actual cameras. So if you had a short range on one of them, you could install that aerial, but again, bit odd. And again, looking at this, I can't see an easy way of taking this off or a connection point that you can connect this to. So there you go, build quality seems good and a nice compact box, and obviously you'd need space to extend the aerials out, so keep that in mind as well, so you can't just slot it into a small area. Okay, so the last thing to mention is the fixtures. So they give a bag of screws and raw plugs with each of the cameras. Build quality seems reasonable from what I can see. Okay, so next, let me show how to connect up this system. So I've moved a lot of the items out of the way just for simplicity. So we'll show one camera being connected and the NVR. So very straightforward with the actual camera itself. Obviously make sure you've got the Wi-Fi aerial attached, and then it's just as simple as plugging in the DC connector and that's the camera done. So in terms of the actual NVR, that's quite straightforward as well. So obviously the DC power adapter gets plugged in there and Ethernet port gets plugged in there. Okay, and then the mouse gets plugged just into the USB port, which is here. And then the next thing to connect up would be a connector to your TV or monitor. So you've got HDMI and VGA. So the other thing also is the other end of the Ethernet connector. You'd want to plug that into your router, and that's it. As simple as that to get up and running with this. Okay, so I've connected up all of the system now. So as you can see, 4 power adapters plugged into the 4 cameras. The NVR is plugged in as well. The red cable you see going into the back is actually a cable going directly to my router. And then obviously the mouse is at the side. The only thing remaining is the HDMI cable to go in there. So I'll plug that in a moment, and then we can see the system starting up. Okay, so I've just turned on the NVR. So let's give it a moment to initialize. Okay, so we're presented with 4 areas on the screen, 1 for each camera, and there you go, they've appeared straight away. Let's give it a moment still, and there you go, presented with a login. So if I click OK, and now we've gone straight into the setup wizard, and we've got 3 QR codes here. First one's for the Android client, second one's for the iOS client, and the third one's the Cloud ID to enable you to link the phone app to the actual system. So let's click next to that. I'll show how to set that up later. Next, it's the actual Wi-Fi setup on this. The channel should conform to local laws and regulations. If I click next, please confirm whether the channel complies with local laws. We'll click yes. Okay, date and time details here. That's fine. Let's click next. This is cloud connectivity here, so it's confirming the actual system is online now via the cloud, and the cloud ID is here. If I click next, you've got the hard disk that's in there, so it's a 1 terabyte hard disk and 1 gig is used. If I click done, and that's it, ready to use straight away. So if we look down here now, you can see the cloud ID and the fact it's online. So that actually tells you if the cloud connectivity is working. 4 cameras obviously visible. If I right click, you've got split screen. So let me run through all these options very quickly. So view, you can change the view. So if I go to 1 view, if I go now to 8 view, so it looks like there could be a possibility of adding 8 cameras on this. If we go back there, video manage, and these are the 4 cameras, and this is the IP addresses that have been given to it, and it looks like there's 4 slots still available, so there could be a possibility of adding more cameras to this. Okay, so let's cancel out of that, go into system setup. So in general setup, you've got these options available, so auto logout, key buzzer, language, keypad type, remote ID, boot wizard, show cloud ID when in preview, don't need to see that, show time when preview, auto turn off screen. Okay, so at least you've got those options available. If I just apply that because I made a change. Next, time setup, if you want to change that, hard disk setup, and error setup. So if there's certain issues on this, you can actually have it sending out an alarm, which doesn't work. So you got to click enable here, and then you can click these options. Okay, next let's go to record setup, and this is where you can set up when you want motion detection to be in effect to record. So you'd click the option there, select your region, and there you go, motion detection is on there. If you had the alarm functionality on here, which I'm pretty sure it doesn't have because you'd have separate modules for that, you can enable that as well. So you want the alarm to come into effect then. Okay, so if we go to alarm setup, and this is what confirms, there's no module that comes with this device. Next, we'll go to zone setup. So you can set up different zones. I think this is more for the alarm, so not relevant in our current setup. So let's go to network setup next. So network setup here, you've got the cloud details and IP address details together with the MAC address, DDNS, PPP, OE, 3G, email as well. So you can set up email details through that. So if anything happens, you can get email alerts coming through. Wi-Fi setup. So you can see the MAC addresses of the cameras. Okay, channel setup here. So you can see each of the channels and change settings on there, like the resolution. Okay, PTZ setup. So this is pan, tilt, zoom. So this doesn't apply to this system. Channel OSD. So this is the writing you see in the corner. You can amend that as well. So you can set names for each of the cameras. Okay. Video detection. Okay, so you can actually set it up for motion detection and email notice, app alarm as well. So if there's movement that's been detected, 3 different ways of getting the actual alert. Bitrate here, so that's the performance you're getting on each of the cameras. System admin, so we've got system version here, system log, users, so you can add in more users, system upgrade, sys maintenance, factory settings, so you can reset back to factory settings, and IPC maintenance. Okay, so that's for updating the firmware on the actual cameras. Okay, let's come out of there. We go to video playback, and you can play back any footage that's been recorded on the system. Pick a date as well, like so. Pick your cameras, you can do a search. Okay, let's come out of that. Video backup, so you can back up the actual footage, you can search a certain period and back it up to USB. But one thing to note, there's only one USB connection point on this, so you'd have to get some sort of small hub to connect it up to enable you to have the mouse and a separate USB drive connected to be able to copy the stuff on. Okay, coming out of there, let's go to color adjust, so you can actually adjust the settings on here. Let me move it to the extreme just to show. There you go. And then we've got PTZ control. That's if you had the pan, tilt, zoom camera. Coming to manual record, you can kick off all the cameras to record. And then we've got volume. So there's no microphones on the actual cameras, so this doesn't apply. Setup wizard, which we've already seen. Click on in there, let's come out. Okay, next we've got Wi-Fi add. So added device 4. And let's come out of that. So that's the 4 cameras. Okay, next, if we go to adjust channel. Okay, come out of that. Don't want to adjust any of that. And exit system. And that's all the options you have available. Pretty straightforward to get up and running very quickly. No messing around with this. It looks like it's pre-set up to actually pick up the cameras straight away. So you didn't really have to wait long in any way. So very simple. Okay, so next I'm going to show how to get this system connecting to your mobile phone so you can remotely view the cameras on there. So very straightforward. So if I right click to get the menu up, and the one we're after is fast network, and here it shows the cloud ID for the system. So first thing we need to do is install the app on our phone. So if I go to the Play Store and we search for IP Pro, that's the app we're after. If I click on that, and let's click install and give it a moment to install. Okay, so now the app's installed. Let's click open. And it's saying allow IP Pro to access photos, media and files on your device. Let's click allow to that. Okay, login wise, if you haven't got an account, you need to register an account with them. So I've already registered an account pre-hand. So let me log in now. And this is what you're presented with next. So allow IP Pro to record audio. Okay, let's click allow to that. And very simple to add in the camera. So if I now click the plus here, and we want to do a scan code to add device, which is just there. Allow IP Pro to take pictures and record video. So we'll allow that. And there you go, the device is added. So we'll call the device CCTV, and we won't set a password because there isn't one at the moment. Always good to set a password on these systems just to secure it, because otherwise anyone can just scan in the QR code and access it if they knew the cloud ID for the system. Okay, so add device successfully done, and there you go, that's what you're presented with. So if I now click here in the corner, topping device, so that's to move, if you had multiples you can shift it to the top. Screenshot and recording, so if I go there it will show anything that's been done, so that's previous ones I've taken on this. If I click back on there, edit, so you can edit details, and going back on there you can delete as well, and at the bottom you've got cancel. Okay, so next if I now click on the play there you go, the 4 cameras has appeared. Let me quickly go through the options here as well. So in the corner there you've got the backup option. Okay, select the channel and you can search. 4 cameras available. If I double click one, it expands it out, and if I slide it across it flips to the next one, which is quite nice functionality. You've got some options here as well, so you can see the Wi-Fi strength there. Okay, turn on auto cruise, that's if you had a PTZ camera, and next is full screen. Okay, if I turn it around you can see you've got the PTZ controls here at the side. If I now go back, got microphone, obviously there's no microphone on these devices, so not going to work. So screenshot option, video record, SD, and if I click on that, so that's standard definition, and then I can go to high definition on there. Okay, and the actual speaker itself. Okay, let's go back from here. If I click there, brings you back, and we've got playback here, so you can see any footage that's been recorded. Go back in. Then you've got window, so you can select more to be visible if you wanted, or you can just go back to your standard 4. Proportion, okay, you can change the aspect ratio, don't need to change that. Okay, picture quality here, if I click, let's give it a moment. Perhaps I need to go into one. Nope, not doing anything. So let's move on. So intercom here, obviously that's not relevant. PTZ here as well. Then you've got screenshot, and then the record option here. And then you've got the sound option here, not relevant either, and recording, so you can record. And it's simple as that to get up and running. So now if I go back, a good thing to demonstrate and show is in the corner here, you can see CCTV online. So that means cloud connectivity is online. So now if I stop my Wi-Fi for a moment and let the phone go to 4G, which it is, and now you can see it says connecting. So it's trying to connect in the background. Okay, and it's saying it's mobile network currently. Are you sure you want to continue? Okay, continues to that. And there you go. Simple as that to connect in. So I didn't have to do anything on my router. I didn't have to open any ports, didn't have to configure anything more, just cloud-based connectivity and work straight out of the box. Okay, so next, let me show the performance of the camera. So I've got one close by to me, and if I move it very subtly, there you go. Performance-wise, it's not too bad. As you can see, there is a slight delay on there, but nothing too considerable. Okay, so next, let me show how to set up motion detection alerting on this. So I think it's quite a good one to have in place. So for instance, if you had someone come up to your front door and the camera is pointing in that area, it'd be good to get some sort of alert if you're sort of wanting to be made aware of that. Okay, so if we right click here, go to system setup, click on channel setup, video detection, and here, as I've already mentioned before, so you've got a buzzer option. And before I change all that, let me change to the camera I'm on. So I'm on channel 2 at the moment. So you can do this for the individual cameras, and you can copy to the others if you wanted to. So we'll just do it on this one, and we'll turn on buzzer and app alarm. Email notice would be if you wanted to get an email if there was any motion detected. So I'll just demonstrate buzzer and app alarm. Pretty straightforward to do. So we'll click apply, give it a moment. Okay, so now if we move the camera, you can hear the beeping happening. So that's pretty useful to have. Now on the phone, I've tested this previously, I couldn't see a push notification coming to my phone, even though if I now click on here, go to settings, and push notification is just down there, it comes on automatically, meaning it's already set. So even with a push notification, you don't seem to get an alert coming directly to the phone. Now in terms of notifications, you've got info there and it should appear in there, but it is a little bit flaky. So I have tested a few times. You would have thought every time there's motion and the system's buzzing, you should get something come through here, but it's not that accurate. You do get it sometimes, and when you do get it, it's quite good because you'll get a short recording of what's been picked up. But like I said, it's not that consistent how often you get that. So a little bit disappointed in that perspective. But you still have the notification coming on the system, which can be useful as well. Okay, so you've seen the unboxing and setup of this Wi-Fi CCTV system. Very simple to set up and configure. The system itself comes with a pre-installed 1 TB hard disk, Comes with 4 cameras. The cameras are 720p in picture resolution. The system itself can handle resolutions of up to 1080p. There's a possibility of expanding the system as well, so you can link up to 8 cameras into there. So good to know that. In terms of setting it up for remote connectivity, very simple as you've seen to set up. One thing I wasn't too happy about was the fact the actual motion detection alerting on there. Push notifications didn't seem to be working too well with the app, and in terms of actual notifying you and logging the fact there's been motion didn't seem to work too consistently. It did work in some instances, but a lot of the time it didn't seem to work. But then again, if you're not after that, it doesn't really make any difference. The other side of it is, it's nice to get the notification on the actual device as well, the buzzer going off when there's movement on one of the cameras. So that's useful functionality to have. So there you go. Hope it's helped anyone thinking of purchasing this. Details in the description below. Thanks for viewing, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.